for the player that really wants to run a carbine, look no further. Special thank you to all my lovely patrons, especially Nerf Nothing for being an amazing pro patron. Greetings audience, I'm Boomstick, and today we're going to be talking about the Nightingale, specifically the Nightmare 1.2 kit from Foamdemic. They were kind enough to send this out to me quite a few months ago, and I'm finally getting around to actually talking about it. My friend Dartsuit was kind enough to let me borrow his Nightingale for this review, which I will finally be able to get back to him, although he has found a new love for the full auto Nightingale. Which, speaking of, this kit should also work on the full auto Nightingale kit. Now, this isn't your standard blaster overview because it's not really a blaster. Even though I've never actually talked about the Nightingale, I probably will go into a few things about running it during the gameplay section. Really, I'm just here to talk about the body kit, which they're fairly easy to talk about because you kind of just look at them and go, oh yeah, I like how that looks. Now, the Nightmare 1.2 body kit for the Nightingale can be purchased from Foamdemic. Links down below in the description, right where you know they are. Now, first let's talk about the assembly. Obviously, you do have to take your Nightingale apart. It did go together fairly well. Didn't have any issues with the assembly process. Just simple open up and close back up, adding the extra parts. Now, what are these extra parts? Obviously, you get a much longer barrel, a removable muzzle on the front. If you don't want this big muzzle, you could get a smaller muzzle. You'd probably be fairly easy to design an even smaller one if you wanted it, but I like how this one looks. Obviously, huge piece of pick rail on the top in case you wanted to mount something on top of that, like a little rocket, a mistress key, or maybe even a Maritime Foam Mega XL gauntlet. And it also includes a stock point that allows you to use any end strike attachment. Which, I will say, this Dart Zone stock from the Tomcat is by far one of my favorite end strike attachment stocks. Obviously, as you can see, there are two printed pieces on either side that connect in the middle, allowing you to have an end strike stock. And I will say, if you put a good bit of pressure on it, it will wobble. But being that this is a flywheeler, you shouldn't have to really brace for anything. So it's not a huge deal if it has a little bit of wobble because it is a flywheeler, but it is worth noting that it's not like the sturdiest of stock. Like, I wouldn't want to like slam this against my shoulder and like pull really hard on it, as that would probably break it. But again, flywheeler, you don't need to be going super hard on the shouldering. But it's definitely worth noting for people who might have a tendency of really pressing their stock against their shoulder. But for just normal games, it's fine. Just normal playstyle, not any problem there. Sturdy enough to where I can press against it and not have any issues. But that's enough of the basics. Let's take it onto the field and see how this body kit affects my gameplay. I was able to run my Nightingale at a couple of UMBC games. I can very easily see why so many people have switched to using a Nightingale for HVZ, just because it is kind of that perfect HVZ blaster. I did really enjoy having the stock on the back. It was very comfortable to have it just shouldered against me, firing at different zombies. Now, I did run into several issues with the Nightingale, most of them due to used darts, so I really only recommend the Nightingale if you're planning on using worker high-end darts because of their size and their durability and their foam compression. I definitely had an issue with the body kit and used darts where the darts actually jammed up in the barrel. I also had an issue with my Nightingale turning a dart around inside the flywheels, which was also a big pain. Now, I do think this is more of an issue of the Nightingale platform and the Nightingale mag system. I was also able to run my Nightingale at the Maryland Nerf Herder games, which do a couple of 120 FPS rounds at the start of the day. And this is definitely when I started noticing more of the issues, especially with the added length of blaster, obviously making you a bigger target. Even though it's still a small blaster, it's still extra length that you don't actually need, and it just makes your blaster a larger target. Alright, now for my overall opinion of the body kit. As I said before, this is really just an extension of the Nightingale. So the performance you're getting with the Nightingale is essentially the performance you're going to get with this body kit minus a couple FPS. The benefits of this kit really come down to whether or not you like this Carbine look and if you really want to stock for your Nightingale, which for some people, they don't want to stock for their Nightingale. They like the Nightingale to be tiny, and they feel like adding a stock and a longer barrel defeats the whole purpose of the Nightingale. And if that's you, obviously, this kit's not for you. But I will say, I actually really dig how this makes the Nightingale look. I honestly didn't even pick up a Nightingale until I actually got this kit, because I do genuinely like how this all comes together. Obviously, the only thing I'd really like to have is more rails. And if that's what you want, Foamdemic's also got you covered with the regular Nightingale kit, which gives you side rails and bottom Picatinny. So yeah, if you want even more rails on your Nightingale and just have it absolutely loaded with all the attachments you want, there you go. You can grab that one too. But overall, yeah, I really do like this body kit. And I recommend, if you also like this kit, go check out their Etsy. I'll have it linked down below in the description along with their other socials. So that has been my review of the Nightmare 1.2 kit for the Nightingale from Foamdemic. Definitely check them out below. I have links down below in the description. If you want to support the channel, you can check out my Buy Me a Coffee and my Patreon. But if you don't want to do that, you can also help out the channel by hitting a like and maybe even subscribing. But until the next video, I've been Boomstick, and I'll see you on the field.